Last night, Saint HIMARS delivered some presents to the Russians. Russian Christmas just happened and some delayed presents are still being delivered. Let's check from the military map where these presents from Uncle HIMARS were delivered. In Luhansk, we zoom in. This small village here is Lantrativka. Only 3 kilometers from the Russian border, as you can see. Freshly mobilized troops who have finished their training in Russia were sent here, actually. Since they didn't get their Christmas present because they were training, Ukrainians figured we'll deliver it for them. The outcome can be seen on this video. They were all cramped together there and they were an easy target to Saint HIMARS. Russian propagandist Anatoly Shari claims at least 100 KIA, which means, of course, we all know, knocked out cold. This is another map created by the Twitter user Noel. I really like his reports on this war, so we're going to use his map to watch the situation around Bakhmut and Soledar. As we zoom out, we see that the craziest fighting in the past 48 hours has been happening around Bakhmut. Yesterday there were reports that Russians took this settlement of Pitorne. This is 5th of January. Russian forces claim progress south of Pitorne. 9th of January, so this is actually today. Russian forces claim Pitorne, but according to Telegram reports today, Ukrainians have reclaimed this settlement, or at least it is contested. As of now, 9th of January, Russians do not control this settlement yet. Russians are pushing north from Bakhmut to surround Bakhmut. Since fighting has been going on the outskirts of Bakhmut for at least a week, they are not able to penetrate deeper into the settlement because Ukrainians are holding on with their teeth and nails. Today, fighting reported near Maximenka Street. As you can see, Maximenka Street is the very first street that the city of Bakhmut starts. Ukrainians really don't want to let Russians any meters into the city, as we can see. A few days ago, as we can see, Wagner Private Military Corporation, a soldier took a photo. We can geolocate it inside the central of Soledar, this city north from Bakhmut. Ukrainians are pushing back. Yesterday, 8th of January, reportedly pushed back Wagner units south of Artemsol plant. As of today, 9th of January, this area here is contested, but central Soledar has claimed to be taken by the Russian forces. They're pushing very heavily. This is where one of the heaviest fighting of this war happens right now. If Ukrainians don't send reinforcements, we can expect Russians to take Soledar, unfortunately. In Soledar and the west of the city, Russian forces allegedly broke through the Ukrainian defense. Last night, Ukrainians sent Saint HIMARS to deliver presents also to Melitopol. In the center of Melitopol, there is a plant, Kutremash plant. It was filled with Russian ammunition, and in this video we can hear it detonating all night through. Next to it, there is also a local compressor plant, also filled with Russian equipment and ammunition. This was also attacked. Ukrainians are making these very precise attacks because Melitopol is filled with Ukrainian civilians, so they are very careful to attack only very much confirmed locations of Russian ammunition warehouses. This can only be done with HIMARS because it is the most precise weapon Ukraine possesses at the moment. So it doesn't matter if Russians put their ammunition warehouses inside huge cities, they will still be destroyed because HIMARS don't miss. British intelligence published a satellite image of Russian Su-57s, 5 of them. They were seen right here at the airfield of Akhtubinsk, and this is, let's see, almost 500 kilometers from Luhansk. And if we zoom in, we can actually see the airfield. And I was very surprised to see, correct me if I'm wrong, these photos are probably old, right? I mean, way before the war started. But am I wrong to say that these are Su-57s? They do look the part. Yes, these are older planes here. We have many different ones. We have also helicopters and bombers, but these 2 Su-57s on Google Maps. But British intelligence reported 5. According to their information, these Su-57s have been used to bombard Ukraine, but they never cross into Ukrainian airspace because Russia cannot afford losing any of these planes. Only 21 ever have been produced, 10 of them for testing and 11 to be used for the Russian Air Force. So if they would lose even one, that would mean a 10% loss of Su-57s. 5 of them together in a single airfield, that is a very juicy target for Ukrainian drones. Why is the sighting of these Su-57s such a big deal? Because the Su-57 is the newest and the only Russian 5th generation stealth fighter. It is supposed to rival the F-35. But for the fact that only 21 of them are built, it means that Russians are really not able to produce them on larger scale. It is a twin-engine stealth multi-role fighter. The first prototype aircraft flew in 2010. The prototypes were filled with errors and failures from the start, including the destruction of the first production aircraft. It crashed just before delivery. I mean, a very bad start for the newest, baddest, most expensive Russian fighter. Su-57s only entered service in the Russian Air Force in 2020. The fighter is expected to have a service life of 35 years. Newest Russian military tech, the T-14 Armata, the Su-57 and the Ka-52 attack helicopter Alligator, they are all plagued with the same issues. On paper the tech is perfect, it is new, it is modernized, and it rivals the tech of the Western powers. But in reality, in practicality, Russia is not able to produce these war machines on a mass scale. T-14 Armata, only 20 of them were built, all of them prototypes. Su-57, only about 20 of them built, and half of them delivered to the Air Force, other half prototypes. Ka-52 attack helicopters, only 100 of them produced, about quarter of them already destroyed in Ukraine. All of these three modernized pieces of equipment are incredibly good on paper. I have nothing bad to say about them. Their capabilities theoretically are a match to the Western powers if Russia could produce them, but they cannot. And the fact that they cannot produce them makes these Su-57s even more rare. If Ukraine could only make Russian smoke carelessly next to these 5 Su-57s, that would be the day. This is the Ukrainian settlement of Davydiv Brid in Kherson Oblast, and Inhulets River goes through that settlement, and there's one bridge, as you can see here. This bridge was destroyed, but now that Ukrainians control this settlement again, they are repairing this bridge, as we can see on the photos. This is important, and I want to include it because it shows the Ukrainian mindset versus the Russian mindset. I've talked about it before. Russians don't want to start repairing something until the war is over and there is no chance it being destroyed again. But the civilians, they need to move. They need to move over the river, they need to get to work. So Ukrainians will repair their projects even if they face destruction again. And this is the right thing to do. Because of war, life cannot stop. Ukrainians don't accept that. They will repair the bridge, they will continue their life and work. And if it is destroyed again, they will repair it again. I really admire this kind of attitude, and with this kind of attitude, you will overcome any obstacles. You can translate it to your personal life. Life will get you down, guaranteed. But if you get back up right now, over and over again, life will not control you, you will control life. I feel this is how the Ukrainian mindset works, with repairing this bridge, although it might be destroyed again. This is incendiary munitions fired into Kherson residential areas. Russians are very much butthurt that they were forced out of Kherson, so they're trying to burn it to the ground. Since they don't have as much ammunition as they did when they bombarded Mariupol, they cannot destroy Kherson like they did Mariupol, so they try to use any kind of weaponry to destroy as much of the city as possible, and this includes, unfortunately, incendiary munitions over civilian residential areas. A horrific sight. In this video we see Russian soldiers complaining that they don't like the fact that they are transported to the fronts with animal freight wagons with the train. Not much has changed in Russia since the 1940s, because my grandfather was deported to Siberia in this very same styled animal wagon. There were about 20 to 30 Estonians crammed into one wagon. There was a hole on the ground if you need to go and relieve yourself. If somebody died, Russians just threw them out of the wagon onto the tracks. The train did not stop for 2 weeks until it reached the Far East. Now these trains are used to transport Russian troops to the front. This is 2022. Wait a minute, what is that? Oh, something has changed. The modernization has truly reached Russia. This is Adidas. This is an Adidas logo. I know one when I see one. Oh, thank God Russia is different than it was 80 years ago when my grandfather was deported. They now have Adidas. Incredibly heavy levels of sarcasm for you who didn't understand it. Economist and author Anders Aslund says this in a tweet. The United States and NATO have given Ukraine only enough to not lose. But in the long run, it guarantees that Ukraine will lose. Because authoritarian countries like Russia can outlast democracies like Ukraine in patience. We must provide Ukraine anything they need to win now. I completely agree with this. Democratic countries and their people have shorter terms of patience because people decide what to do, and if people suffer for a longer period of time, they might want to change this situation. In authoritarian countries, the leader does not suffer. He lives his good life, so he has a lot of time. The people do suffer, but they cannot change anything. Ukraine needs weapons that help them win the war now. Today. In the autumn, I had a lot of Russian trolls in my comment section. They were doing really bad on the battlefield. They lost Izium, then they lost Kherson, and then they were saying, just wait for the winter, you will all freeze. And Russian Gazprom even made that propaganda video of showing Europe as a freezing state. Snow everywhere, windows broken. The reality is here. It is the dead center of winter right now. And in Europe, it's unreasonably high temperatures right now. European gas terminals have been filled to the brink. It is a warm winter, so they're not using that gas as much as they thought. They're overfilled. And in Russia, it is unreasonably cold. It is like divine intervention. Let's go to the weather site. These temperatures here are in Celsius. I am sorry. For the record, 0 Celsius is the freezing temperature. Everything colder is blue, everything warmer is green. See, Estonia is -3, the Baltics are -1. And the line goes quite from here and straight from Ukraine down. Eastern, Central and Southern Europe are doing very good, extremely good with the temperatures actually. It is one of the mildest winters there is. And in Russia, if you go east from Estonia, right, we get -10, -24, -30, 35. This is extremely cold, very cold. It's almost like the Russian prophecy of Europeans freezing is true for Russia itself. I don't want to say karma, but it sure looks like it. And it's so weird to see that the freezing line is so perfect. And we can handle the -3 in Estonia. We're Estonians. But I'm so glad that most of the Europe doesn't have to deal with this. General winter is on the Ukrainian side right now. Very clearly. As we can see, Donetsk is -8, meaning that the ground is frozen right now or will freeze in the coming days. Let's go to 11th. Oh, it is going colder, as we can see. We're passing time on right now. As you can see, Europe doesn't change much. But for Ukraine, it's going warm again. And now it's very warm. See, 16th, it is +degrees in eastern Ukraine. So the ground will not be frozen even halfway through January. They cannot use heavy armor on the fields. It is bad and good for both sides, actually. Let's now watch a video about Russian soldiers from Yakutia. They're in Ukraine and they cannot understand why Ukrainians have an attitude towards them.
Пологи, бинех жизнь кипит. Атактаңа продуктовны geldi. Этестәхтиләр барлы. Аяк кие бар. Jamma xamsallar. О, Никита. Мактал ден ресторанда Никита.
So they went to the restaurant with full battle gear, as they do, of course. And these, I gotta say, these Russian soldiers are polite enough. Usually they just take what they want and leave and trash the place and drink. The attitude is terrible. Well, my friend, you're an invader in another country. You're committing atrocities in the name of your dictator. I'm afraid the attitude will remain terrible. We're invaders for them. That's the truth. If I was a Russian soldier, I wouldn't dare go into the restaurant and order food because I would be afraid it would be poisoned. Because that has happened and that's what the Ukrainians want to do with them. I also want to watch a video of Putin's Christmas service. It is bizarre and weird. Putin is known to be very paranoid and isolated right now. He doesn't trust people. He's becoming more and more like Stalin, very isolated and paranoid, and the more isolated he gets, the more ruthless his orders will be. But this is him attending a Christmas ceremony. One tweet put it best. From the outside of the church it's dark. In the Russian article, when they said Putin was doing this Christmas service, they said it was done Christmas evening. But as you can see from the window, it's clearly shot during the day, and in Moscow there is daylight only for 4 to 5 hours during the day right now, so it was probably shot beforehand also. They even lie about when the president goes into the Christmas service. You can obviously say Putin does not believe in this because he is paying for all of this. Russian Orthodox Church is getting all of their money from the government and they're doing the government's bidding. Russian propaganda machine stated that they hit this apartment building and killed about 5,000 NATO soldiers. Yes, 5,000, you heard correctly. Within one strike in this one apartment building. And also additionally 600 Ukrainian soldiers. In one fatal blow. Russia speaks? Yes? Russia is lying. I'll be now reading you and butchering the names of 5 newest Patreons, tier 10 or above. Let's go. HIMARS, Dennis Flynn, Andrev Markvel, Royce Fuller, Kari Beaulieu. What a name, my god. Thank you to these people for supporting the channel. You can do it also, link is in the description below. My friends, I will leave you with this dancing Ukrainian soldier. It is a nice way to end these videos with dancing Ukrainian soldiers. If you like what I do, if you like my style, then please subscribe to the channel and also become a Patreon. The link is in the description below. It is the fastest and best way to support the channel. Thank you. Until my next video, Slava Ukraini.